We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater.
Hello and welcome to And the Winner Is. I'm your host, Jacob London, and I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Taylor Robinson. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to do this. This is just gonna be...
This is going to be gonna be something.
Yep.
And I'm also joined by my wonderful guest, Nick. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, mate. How are you?
And Richard?
Totally good.
That's good. All right. So today, guys, this is our Oscar show. We are going to be talking about our Best Picture contenders. So what are the films that we think are going to be nominated for Best Picture? We're going to go through all of the films, just discuss them in length, talk about what's actually in contention, what's not, what are we thinking, what are we not thinking. So it should be a lot of fun. Guys, just off the top, what do you think about this group of films? Is there anything that you're looking at going that really stands out? Do you think this has been a good year for film so far, or kind of are we looking at more of a mediocre year?
I think this has actually been quite a good year for film, especially for Oscar caliber films. It's been pretty consistent, especially the past 2.5, 3 months. There's been some heavy hitters coming out, especially from streaming services. We've seen a big rise in Oscar-worthy films. And I think compared to probably the past 2 years of Oscar movies, where there's been 2 or 3 that have been really stand out, there's actually a handful here that are going to be tough to choose from.
Yeah, Richard?
I think this is a pretty exciting year because you've got a combination of legends like Scorsese with Irishman, Tarantino, but then you've also got foreign films like The Parasite, which is the consensus is it's probably the best film of the year, if not the second best. And then you've also got indie darlings like Noah Baumbach, who looks like could get his first ever director nomination. And also, I do like the comedies who are getting a lot of buzz, like your Jojo Rabbits. Once again, Taika Waititi, another indie darling who is getting a lot of awards consideration that he hasn't really gotten in the past. So, no, I think this is a very exciting award season.
Yeah. Taylor?
I would agree. I think it's an interesting award season. There are quite a few movies that we thought were going to be contenders that we haven't really heard a lot about. There have been some surprises. To me, it's difficult because I think this second half of the year is giving us a lot of really great films, but it's really hard for me to say that anything is a lock other than a couple, maybe 1 or 2, just because the buzz isn't quite there yet for a lot of things for me. We're still a little early in what people are really, really talking about. I think there are probably going to be some interesting people left out that we were sure earlier in the year we're going to get some nominations. To me, Tom Hanks pops up in that. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, it hasn't really been talked about a lot. But we'll get more into that later.
I think we will a bit later. So I personally think this has been a pretty good year for film. I wouldn't say it's one of the greatest ones in the last 10 years. I think this is more akin to 2016, even 2013, where it's just there's some really great gems in there, but there's a lot of films that are kind of mediocre, that are kind of which are going to fall over the line because there's not quite enough there for it. At least for my personal opinion. There's a lot on here though that I already really do love and that I am excited to talk about. There's a lot on here that I am greatly anticipating and really do excited to see in theaters. So let's begin with, I think, what is considered the front runner for Best Picture at the moment by everyone, and that would be Marriage Story. I think everyone who has seen it, most media outlets, pretty much everyone has that as this is the front runner. So anyone in agreement, everyone nod? Is there anyone who thinks that this wouldn't be the front runner?
I think that it probably is from this point. Just as I was saying earlier, there's a lot that we still haven't gotten buzz for. There's a lot that's still working its way really into more of a public kind of circuit. Marriage Story has gotten the most buzz from what I've heard, and I think it's interesting because it's kind of a direct opposite to what we were saying last year, where we didn't know if streaming platform movies were really going to get a place. And this year it's looking like it's the front runner in a lot of the categories.
Yeah, and that's, to me, a very fascinating argument, because last year, I mean, with Roma, I was terrified about putting Roma on any of my lists because of the Netflix factor.
That uncertainty.
How are the Academy going to handle the fact that a Netflix movie, a film that didn't really screen in theaters, how are they going to handle that? They've been very vocal against streaming services, and suddenly Roma comes in. It wins a lot of big awards.
And deservedly so.
Yeah,
It's a fantastic movie,
I also think that if it's... I think the thing that held it back from winning Best Picture was the fact that it was a foreign film, not a Netflix film. And I think this year we are going to see that with Marriage Story, that the fact that it's a Netflix film isn't going to matter. I really do think it's going to be a big film.
Well, I think the other thing is that Roma was not filled with name actors, so you weren't exactly going to sell it to the acting branch, which I think is ridiculous. But I don't know, that's just a theory I've heard a lot of people say.
Yeah.
And I guess without having seen Marriage Story yet, we get it next, so the 14th, of November here, just for that limited theatrical run. But jumping on what Taylor said, it's hitting all the big categories. So it's also getting those actor buzzers for actor, actress, and supporting actress with Laura Dern. Noah Baumbach is potentially getting his first director nom and screenplay. So it's hitting those huge categories so hard, and there is not a single word of negativity about it. That I think it's definitely a lock at the moment.
Well, the first negative review I saw of it was from Lights Camera Jackson, I think a 12-year-old still, who thought who
I haven't watched him in years. I remember him.
Who was, I think his basically review was, I'm too young to realize that a divorce is an actual thing. So, you know.
It was like,
at least he's honest.
I mean, I don't think he realizes it though. His review was more, if I wanted to watch people scream at each other, I could do that in real life or some garbage like that. So
I go watch this review. That's brilliant.
Well, I don't agree with this idea, but I have to quote something that was brought up in the Hollywood Reporter, and I hate to get political, but I think one of the hurdles that Marriage Story could face is the fact that this is Noah Baumbach's movie about divorce, and there's going to be parallels to his own divorce with Jennifer Jason Leigh, which that was a long time ago. But I do think there are going to be those protesters to the film or questioning.
I think because it's been so long, and because also the best type of art is ones that you draw upon your own experience, and I think the fact that the fact that everyone is enjoying this, and the fact that everyone is able to go, it is a heartbreaking film, and you're able to walk away. I think that could be a counter to that, where I think that it's not a film that people will, from what we're hearing, because none of us have actually seen it. I know, I'm so loud. But I do think it's one of those films where you're going to walk out. It will be a very sad film, but also one that gives you something. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and just to draw a parallel for a movie that we saw that 2010, I believe, or 2011, Blue Valentine came out. Yeah. Ryan Gosling. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a similar sort of movie. It's following, and that's exactly like you said, the best sort of art is drawn from those realistic things. And that's why I think this movie will have so many relatable elements to it. Oh, for those who've seen it, probably already know it does. So that's why I think it's resonating so well, especially with critics at the moment.
If it's going to have any sort of controversy playing against it, I think it would be that Scarlett Johansson can't keep her mouth shut about a lot of things that people disagree with. And that's a lot of people are not particularly big fans of the things that she says in her personal life at the moment, which doesn't seem to be affecting the movie, which I'm glad it's not.
Yeah.
But if there was any controversy, to me, I was waiting for the backlash on her to be what popped up.
Well, it hasn't come out yet.
Not
but
yet.
Again, we haven't started seeing a lot of these nominations. So
that's true.
It could end up La La Landing itself, where it gets too much buzz, and then
it suddenly gets 12 Oscar nominations, and everyone goes, okay, it's not that good. It's good, but it's not that good, and so it could be interesting. I guess we can move on to the next, arguably the big. So to me, that's our number one front runner.
Yeah.
There's a few other strong contenders that I would be leaning towards putting in there, and that the three at the moment would be Parasite, Irishman, and Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Mostly because they're the three that have been seen by people. Like
Yeah.
they are now out in circulation. The fourth one that has been seen by a lot of people is Jojo Rabbit, but I think that's more of that's a one tier down from these ones. Is there anything in there that you just straight up don't think is going to get nominated, or you are curious about?
Well, I'm not comfortable saying Once Upon a Time is going to get nominated. Not at all.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I know that Quentin Tarantino has kind of had a thing with the Oscars where they usually throw him a nomination, but I'm not comfortable with how that movie was received by the public and by critics enough to say that the Academy is going to give it a nomination, at least not for Best Picture.
That's exactly what I was going to say as well. I don't think it's a lock in for Best Picture. I think it definitely has a few other things going for it.
Yeah.
I think cinematography, it might have a chance in there. And when we're talking about Brad Pitt and Leo, there's definitely a chance, a strong chance. But yeah, Best Picture, again, just jumping off Taylor said, it's just how it was received. It was jumped on so hard when it premiered, and everyone was talking about this love letter to Hollywood, and then everyday critics saw it, then the public saw it, and then everyone was like, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
It's good. But
that's the critics in the audience. But when you see people like Guillermo del Toro and Ari Aster, raving this movie on Twitter, we saw last year that, like Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody, a movie can be divisive, but if the industry is passionate about it, that can get it to a nomination at least.
I mean, I agree with that. I just don't think the industry is very...
Yeah.
Like, even your Guillermos and your Ari Asters and everyone, I don't really think they've been super excited about this movie.
Yeah, the thing for me with Once Upon a Time is I think it came out at the right time, box office wise, obviously. Like, it came out...
it really wasn't running against anything.
Its biggest competition was Lion King, and completely different markets.
Yeah.
So to me, it came out at the right time, box office wise. I just don't know if it came out at the right time, Oscar wise.
Yeah, okay.
Because we've seen Tarantino films do well when they get released in August and July. Inglourious Basterds is the biggest example of this. It came out, it got a huge reception. Yeah. But that was based on really the supporting actor. Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz came out, he was the man to beat. It was his Oscar to lose. Yeah. This year with Brad Pitt, I wouldn't really say it's his to lose. I think there have been other performances that have come out that it's an argument in there, and I don't think the Once Upon a Time movie can run on the momentum of another award.
Well, that's it at the end of the day, isn't it, as well? It's how much traction and momentum can a movie gather over time, because there's occasionally we get those points where a movie will just be that dark horse, which is what we got with Moonlight. That it didn't sweep up any other categories, but it had the nominations in those categories at the same time. So I don't think Hollywood has that momentum at the moment.
Yeah, so we're assuming that maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood could be like a Hateful Eight scenario where not Best Picture, but maybe an above the line like acting or screenplay and a few texts.
I think right now, I think Brad Pitt is kind of maybe the only real, one that I would think if I had to put my money behind it, Brad Pitt's the one that I'd be putting money on. I think supporting.
Which is interesting to me actually, because I personally think Brad Pitt's performance is the best performance in that movie, but I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if they do actually give him the nod, because it's very understated compared to the rest of that movie.
Definitely. Like he has definitely the most understated performance of the three of them. And I think Margot could possibly, if she didn't have Bombshell this year. I think the fact that Bombshell comes out takes her completely out of this conversation.
I think so as well, yeah.
However, the other one that's now taken up a lot of the buzz is Irishman. Yeah. We still haven't seen it just because timings are not fun.
And it's a 3.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
We need to find time to carve out 3.5 hours.
So you guys, however, have seen it.
Yes. So we're going to kind of defer to...
Yeah, this is kind of going to be your... what do you guys think are its chances?
It's so high. It's peak Scorsese. It's Scorsese's most personal movie yet, and Hollywood eat that up. They love it when a director seems to have his sort of auteur moment, and Irishman is 100% Scorsese's moment. It's epic. There's no other way to put it. And I lowered expectations because I saw how much people were loving it. And it's my favorite movie of the year so far. So I'm 100% biased. I know I feel like it's going to get that. But I genuinely think as a film and as how it was made and just everything coming together, it is almost a shoo-in for me for Best Picture nom. Yeah, for sure.
It was fine. No, it is.
The sad part is we're going to get to another movie in a minute, and that is my reaction.
Yeah.
So,
I cannot wait to hear what that is. No, but Irishman, it's in my top 3 of the year. Yes, pretty much what Nick said. Absolutely loved it. I do wonder if the de-aging is going to put off some older voters. And also, we cannot ignore that there is this whole feud with Netflix and the cinemas, as we saw lately.
and I think this film especially, has actually taken the brunt of the argument rather than Marriage Story because it is a Scorsese film. There's
a bit more commerciality behind The Irishman as opposed to Marriage Story.
Yeah, and I can... Which is ironic considering that was the whole... the whole reason no studio would make it because it wasn't commercially viable. Yeah. But I do agree with you there that I think Irishman has taken the brunt of this Netflix backlash, and that could possibly be an argument against it, where it's
absolutely.
That's the one that didn't get it because that got the backlash, whereas in Marriage Story and Dolomite
just quietly did its own.
Yeah, they just did their own thing because the arguments of, well, who else was going to make it? Whereas in a studio, if
a studio was dumb to pass up on Irishman, in my very humble opinion.
You watch The Irishman and you can tell why that is Scorsese's most expensive film, because you've got 117 locations. It's a period film. There's exploding cars. You need hundreds of extras for the crowd scenes. The de-aging, which means twice the camera crew, twice the trucks.
Oh, God, yeah.
And also...
The visual effects alone.
And also, and this may sound stupid, but De Niro and Pacino, they haven't been heating it up in the box office in recent years.
No, I mean, the last... can anyone think of the last good Pacino movie?
Jack and Jill. No. Just any excuse to talk about that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that movie does have the one joke that I find hilarious, which is when she breaks his Oscar and he says, "You would." I'm sure you've got more than you would think, but no. That is the one joke in that movie that actually makes me laugh.
Speaking of, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, speaking of Pacino, I will say he has replaced Brad Pitt in my choice for supporting actor.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's where it gets interesting for me. I think those are the two right now that you really have, and then just kind of fill in the blanks after that.
Supporting actor this year is not a great category, but we will get into that on another episode.
Yes.
Can I ask just one more thing?
Yeah.
Do we think by awarding Irishman could be a way of, I don't know, awarding Goodfellas, which is a movie that people look back as the true film that should have won back in 1990?
I think Departed did that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think Departed's already done that. Because look, I think Departed is a great film. Yeah. I think the love that movie got was very, very based on
it was the honorary.
It is your time for your award. The fact that they got Spielberg, Coppola and Lucas to present the award is kind of one of those, as soon as they walked out, this is Scorsese's. Scorsese has this.
He actually just stood up and started walking towards the stage.
And they didn't even need to read it out.
But also, I also think that was the year after they gave Best Picture to Crash. So it was kind of like a way of saying, please love us. Here, look, we'll give it to Marty. Give it to Marty.
You all love The Departed, right? So I absolutely think The Irishman is, for me, a lock for Best Picture, but I think just based on the critics' response to it as well, because it's still sitting on over 90 on Metacritic. And I think it's still sitting at high 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. So it's definitely it's paved its way to that nomination. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of defer to you to close this one out, just because I know you've been anticipating this one.
Look, I've been looking forward to this movie since they announced it 3 years ago. The fact that, you got De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci. And the fact that he convinced Pesci to come back. That's no. I will see it.
I'm not even noticed when he came on screen the first time, it's probably about 20 minutes into the movie, I had the biggest, dumbest grin on my face. Because it just occurred to me, I was like, I haven't seen him on screen in so so long.
And the de-aging, I was like, it looks like Pesci from Home Alone.
But I do think if there is a film that just gets based on the love based on name recognition, it will be The Irishman.
Yeah.
I think especially Irishman over Tarantino. I don't think I think Tarantino's name has become a little bit muddled lately, whereas in compared to Scorsese, it's if you had to choose between one, I think The Going Irishman, not Once Upon a Time. Now, the other film that is definitely going to have a more mixed reaction from certain two members of this panel, well, I know me certainly, is Parasite.
Yes.
I enjoyed Parasite. I thought it was okay. I thought it is a good movie. I probably need to see it again without the expectations.
I cannot.
I saw we saw it. I liked it. I don't know why people are screaming about this being one of the best films of the year. I don't get it. I think it is a good movie. I think it is well made. I think it is well acted. There are characters in there that I really do enjoy. There are moments that I really love. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't.
It's kind of funny that because that's somewhat is like the recipe of what should make an amazing film. You know what I mean? But I understand what you're saying though, because I have movies like that too that are brilliant, but then I just go, it's not necessarily for me.
Yeah, I think, and to me, look, do I think there is this is not a review show. This is will it be nominated for an Oscar? I do think there is a chance.
I think there's a chance too, just because it was very much and still is the dark horse that people are still talking about, and it's still in theaters for us, which is crazy.
I think it's in its 16th week in Australian cinemas.
It's
crazy.
I definitely think it has a shot, and I think I was saying earlier, I think there's a possibility we get 2 foreign films that get Best Picture nods. It could absolutely happen this year. But this movie, I have a tough time with it because I enjoyed all the acting performances. I thought that the story was really interesting. I was white knuckling really hard through most of this. Like, it was one of those movies that just had me like, I don't know if I can sit here and watch the whole thing because I might throw up. Like, it had all those elements, like you said, where to me that should make it one of the best movies of the year, and it's just not there for me.
But there's just a box it doesn't tick at some point.
I just can't tell you what that box is because I don't know what it is.
No, I get that.
It's one of those ones where like there is a lot about it that I did really love, and that why I think I do need to see it again without the expectations, because obviously we saw it very late. We saw it where everyone has called it the best film of the year. Has called it, has one of the best twists of the year. Didn't think so, but okay.
See, I'm one of those people who, before I saw The Irishman, it was my favorite movie of the year. I think Bong Joon-ho is a fantastic director. I think this is his masterpiece, and I've seen almost all of his movies. So he's been on a steady up ramp his whole career. So this movie to him is to me is his best movie. I'm not like other people where I think the twist. I think that was just a natural progression in the story. It catches you by surprise because you kind of don't expect it, but it's not necessarily a twist when you think about it. So I think there's an expectation there from some people where they go, oh my God, this is going to be like, you're not going to believe what happens. I'm like, oh, no, I believe that would happen.
Well, but that's why it works, because you believe that.
The whole movie's a satire at the end of the day. So
there was a lot about it that worked, and like in that moment I've gone, oh, okay, I believe it. I was just waiting for that absolutely bonkers thing that you look at, and there were moments where I went, oh, is that what the bonkers thing is? Oh, is that what it is? Oh, and suddenly it just, oh no, it's just
just a really good story that follows the natural progression of where it should go. And I will say I do appreciate the movie a lot. There's so much of it that's done so well. It is, to me, a great movie. To me, I can't put it as one of my best because that emotional thing isn't there. Like, technically I appreciate it and think that it's a great movie. And I wouldn't be mad if it got nominated for a lot of awards because I think it deserves it. It's just not on my personal
and I get that.
list.
And that was the key word there. It's that emotional connection. I think that's, at the end of the day, the biggest thing when choosing awards is how did you feel coming out of that movie? Like, what heartstring did it pull on?
I think it's probably Bong Joon-ho's most Academy-friendly movie compared
Easily.
to Snowpiercer.
Great point,
But I do feel like it is the type of movie where if it were to miss picture, it could get a director nomination because,
Yeah.
like so many lone director movies like Mulholland Drive or
We got
God,
Cold War
I mean,
last
Cold-
year. You know,
Cold War
like,
last year,
it's-
that was the shock. That was like
that nomination was
Yeah.
hectic.
yeah.
it's been labeled as Parasite's been labeled as a movie you cannot classify in one genre.
No,
like
and I
one,
agree
it's a
with that,
heist
yeah.
film, it's a comedy, it's a murder film, it's a thriller, it's a family film. It's so many things.
Like, to me, this isn't like last year where, you know, if Green Book got nominated, I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Whereas if Parasite gets nominated, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah,
fine with
yeah,
it. Like,
absolutely.
it's a good movie. And you're right. It is definitely his most Academy friendly. Like, there's nothing there where you can watch it and you go, oh, the Academy are not going to like that. Like, there's not, like, to me, there's not a giant squid monster halfway through the movie.
Which is half what I was
I
expecting.
was
to be honest
like,
with you.
everyone's saying there's this giant bonkers squid, and when she turns up, I'm going, she's like a squid monster or something. Like, I was
You're just
fully
waiting
expecting
for
that.
the crazy Bong Joon-ho moment.
And for a Korean director, he's worked with a lot of Hollywood heavyweights, so they know who he is.
Yeah, so it's
it's going to
gonna
be interesting.
It will,
Yeah.
but like, to me, they're the four right now that have
Yeah.
been seen that we're not now going like. Let's now move on to the.
Can I just touch? Sorry, one more point on
yeah.
Parasite. Sorry, and I said this in last week's podcast that no matter how much I love the movie and how much I think people love it, I think they're just going to push that foreign picture because that's going to be a tough category because we've got Pain and Glory because we've got so many good foreign films.
Yeah.
I think I watched Beanpole, the Russian submission the other week, and I think that will have a chance to go in. So, but I feel like we are going to get a bunch of 8 movies that will push Parasite down just a little bit. But I mean, I could be wrong, and I want to be wrong on that.
The other thing is, the last movie to win Best Picture without getting any acting nominations was Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do we think Parasite could be that movie that breaks the stat and
I don't-
win Best Picture without an acting
If
nom?
it gets nominated, I don't think it's winning.
I don't think-
No,
like
I don't
I
either.
don't think it's winning at. I think it will be one of those. It is an honor to be nominated because
Yes.
I don't think he's going to need to write a acceptance speech.
No.
Again.
Agreed.
It's the foreign film thing. Like I just don't see the Academy ever giving a foreign film Best Picture.
No.
Yeah.
That's why they have the foreign film category.
Yeah, they had last year to do it. Last year was the year to do it.
Which-
They were
Yeah,
gonna
and they-
do it.
Personally, I'm glad they didn't, as one of the 12 people in the world that did not like Roma. But I digress on that one.
All right, let's move on to the movies that haven't been screened just yet, or if they have, they're very select few
Yeah.
people. We've got Bombshell, we've got Jojo Rabbit, and we have Little Women and 1917. So we'll start with Jojo Rabbit.
Yes.
To me, this is a dark horse.
Yes.
From everything I'm hearing, from everything that I've seen, I hope it gets nominated. If it lives up to everything, if it lives up to the hype, I hope it does.
Yeah.
It's going to, but it's everything about this movie is going to rest on the screenplay. If the screenplay doesn't work and it doesn't get a screenplay nom, it is not getting a Best Picture nom at all. Like, that's, to me, how you're going to know when they're going through the awards. If it doesn't get a nomination for screenplay, that's it.
Because it'll be adapted screenplay too as well. So that's a pretty easy category to run into. So you'd
this year
hope
it's
so, yeah.
Pretty easy. So I think because it's the type of movie where if you don't nail the concept in your screenplay, if the concept doesn't work or work as well, the rest of the movie kind of can fall apart. Even if the performances are amazing, even if the directing is incredible, if the writing itself doesn't work, that film falls apart. Just because you can cross that line very easily. So that, to me, Jojo Rabbit is that dark horse where that will be the indicator. If it gets a screenwriting nom, there's a very good chance that it will get nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
I was going to say, when was the last time a straight up comedy actually got nominated for Best Picture? Like, not a musical, not a comedy / drama, but a comedy.
For Best Picture?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I wouldn't, like, from what we've seen, I wouldn't really necessarily call Jojo Rabbit.
It's getting marketed as one
No,
though. That's
maybe.
all the trailers are really quirky and real, and because obviously,
I think it's a fine line though between comedy and satire.
Yeah.
I feel like it's being more marketed as a satirical movie,
Yeah.
but you also in the trailer get that little bit of there's gonna be a little bit of drama in here, because they show
the Jewish girl.
Girl.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, because if you want to go by that standard, then probably Grand Budapest is probably your last.
Yeah.
Grand Budapest is probably your last one because it's you know, like it feels very similar not in style and comedy.
Quirky.
In the
it's a very
quirkiness
quirky.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, Joe, what are your thoughts about Jojo Rabbit's chances?
I'm not 100% confident on this one. I think it actually opened to such diverse of reactions. It was sitting really low in critics' scores when it first premiered, but now audiences are loving it. It's opened up in the US, and everyone who I've read who aren't certified critics love the movie.
Yeah.
Love the movie. And I think that's because Taika Waititi is such a great audience director. Not that he caters to an audience for the sake of what he's going to make, but he actually makes films that are so accessible for the audience itself, which sometimes can then not be technically amazing to the Academy. I think I can't remember what the controversy of it was, why it got such divisive reactions, and I just think people just weren't jumping on board with a Nazi satire movie, which is ironic because Inglourious Bastards came out years ago and we loved that. It's because we were killing Nazis in that one.
It hits too close to home now. There's too many Nazis that are coming back.
Too many. That's it.
It's just
we're making Hitler cool again, and the Academy's like, stop it. But no, that's what I mean. Like at the end of the day, satire is one of the greatest forms of comedy when done well. When we can look back at something and laugh at it, but also learn from the mistakes that were made. And I think that's what people are really attracted to with Jojo Rabbit. But I just don't see the Academy seeing that, unfortunately.
To me, it kind of does feel like, I think actually the best example, and this is a really old example, would be Producers.
I was just looking that up right now.
Whereas it's kind of one of those films where, look, that got a lot of love for screenplay, but I don't think it got a picture nomination.
I was going to say it did not get it didn't get a picture nom, but it did win original screenplay.
Yeah, it won screenplay. Okay. I know that it won screenplay, but it didn't get a best picture nod. But that is a film that is so heavily satiring of Nazi culture and Nazism and fascism,
and it's hilarious. It's a fantastic movie,
Yes.
but at the end, it still drives that point home at the end of the day. It's like, this was a bad time in history, and we need to be able to look back on it and laugh, but also realize that we've moved on from these. And that's why I think people are worried with Jojo Rabbit. They're like, what? You've made Hitler a black Jew, and because you know, Taika Waititi is Jewish, so and they're like, this is just, you know, what are you trying to tell us right now? And it's like, no, this is just what we're doing to make this an easier pill to swallow. The message of this story is an easier pill to swallow when we make it funny, and I just don't think people are seeing that.
But at the same time, Jojo Rabbit, it won the Audience Award at Toronto Film Festival, and
that's it.
Silver Linings Playbook, 3 Billboards, Green Book, previous winners, all Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, so it's
audiences love it.
Audiences love it. All right, I think the other big one is 1917.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait to see this movie.
This is a movie that there is a lot resting on its cinematography.
Oh yeah,
and
the Deeks, man.
Like there is a lot resting on that. But if to me, like I was saying with Jojo, writing is the most important part of that film. Cinematography and directing are the most important part of 1917.
Which is why you bring in the master of cinematography.
Yes, exactly.
Was this the first war film made to look like one take?
I think it might be.
It probably is. Like for the whole movie, there's definitely famous
for this
one
type
take
of budget. Like,
Yeah.
and for having if they might have done a one take for a war film in the past, but it wouldn't have been on this scale.
Yeah, like
No
I think
way.
I can't remember that, but there's definitely been war films that have done the big one take before, but this is like Birdman levels of one take, and I agree. I think Roger Deakins and Sam Mendes are a big part of this getting nominated, and I like that the trailers aren't giving us a lot.
Yeah.
all we know about the story is just a young soldier who has to go
From point A to point B.
Point B,
It's
exactly.
a point A to point B story.
We don't get this till mid-January here, so there's a
No,
long
second
time.
one, yeah.
I think-
First week, 9th of January, I think.
Okay.
We get it, yeah.
I think the other thing that really works for this marketing, though, you get, yes, the point A to point B, and that's really all you get, but then you get the big emotional anchor in there as well as it's your brother.
Yes, that's
Like-
right. Yeah, that's
Yes.
right.
Which, so you get the interesting story that you don't really know everything about, but then you get that, and this is why you should care.
Yeah.
But
Emotional.
And especially in a war film too.
Right.
That's what,
Right.
how it works for Saving Private
Yeah.
Ryan, like how that movie's
Yeah.
aged so well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing also with this film is the cast. You've
Yeah.
got like
Yeah.
from what it looks like, it's going to be people turning up for one scene,
Yes.
maybe half a scene, giving a really great performance. And the reason why we're caring about these characters is because of it's cast
Yes.
well. So it's one of those films where I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but someone turns up. Bruce Willis in Moonrise Kingdom turns up,
Yeah,
and
right,
suddenly you're okay. I care because it's Bruce Willis.
Yes.
And not because that character's overly really well written, but
That's the
that's the strength of casting.
yes,
And so
absolutely.
I think,
Yeah. Especially with the heavy hitters in this movie.
Yeah,
Benedict Cumberbatch, you got Colin Firth, we got
Yeah.
big
Well, they're
guys in this
saying
movie.
that the lead is this young actor George McKay.
He was Tommen Baratheon?
Yeah, Tommen
Yeah.
Baratheon. Yep.
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones, yeah.
So and I thought he was good as Tommen. So I think he's been good in the trailer so far. He definitely comes across as like a
He
young.
looks the right age.
He does
Yeah.
like a young private in World War One
yeah.
who has to do an impossible task.
And look at, correct me if I'm wrong, did Dunkirk get nominated for Best Picture?
Yes, it
so,
did.
look,
Got
I mean,
Nolan's first nomination as well.
and
So-
then Mendes, he's got a very good track record,
Yeah.
especially with visual films. And I think
Yeah.
that's, like I said, the biggest draw is going to be him and Deakins making an absolute, just incredibly for the eyes sort of film. So
that one I'm really looking forward to. Now let's move on to another big one that has been a little sight unseen, Little Women.
yes.
Yes.
There is a huge question mark over this one for me, and that is the remake factor. Now,
Yeah.
I know Star is Born did really, really well last year with being the remake. I think but Star is Born also had the strength of coming out in October.
Yes.
And having the box office
but,
behind it.
But Star is Born did well, but award-wise,
No, it
didn't
really
do
didn't
anything,
clean
Yeah.
anything
really.
up, no.
We
So-
thought it was the front runner for a while.
I
Right,
know. It
right.
was, yeah.
Which is, to my point, you've got Greta Gerwig, who the Academy seems to at least appreciate,
Yeah.
at the very least. You've got a cast that is just out of this world. That entire
Yeah, that
cast
cast
is
is
just a
huge.
huge list of names. So you've got the talent.
Mm.
And I do think that the remake factor isn't really a factor because, to me at least, when I think Little Women, you don't think Star is Born, where there's been
Yeah.
You think
You
more the
don't
book, I
think-
guess,
yeah,
don't
you
you?
think
Yeah,
more
yeah,
of
the
book, which at least a lot of people my age, I think, when you hear Little Women, you think, I grew up reading the book.
Yeah.
You don't really think about, oh, this is a remake.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, where to me, when you think A Star is Born, you think,
You think of the other movies,
other
and
movies.
you think of how they weren't great. Like,
Right.
it was schlocky Barbara
Yeah.
Streisand era movie. Yeah, for sure.
I think this will be. I think there have been more Little Women remakes than A Star is Born remakes.
but
have-
consciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not in the public.
I
Yeah.
agree with Taylor on that one, yeah.
I mean, the fact that one literally came out this year that no...
There was a
one
Netflix one.
There was one that I think it came out this year that was a modern adaptation of it that no one saw.
and did
no one's
did
talking about
Netflix
it.
do a mini-series about it as well?
I don't know.
Who
I think they
knows?
might
See,
have.
but that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
exactly.
Yeah,
You
point
You don't
proved
know.
your
Point proven, yeah.
Proved your point, yeah.
And 100% on the Greta Gerwig thing too. She's on that Ladybird high at the moment, which rightfully so, because that's an incredible
So
movie,
good.
very well made movie.
But
I think there is this huge Saoirse Ronan love.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Academy
that too.
love
Yeah.
her. I think
Which, once again, rightfully so.
I think
God,
there
yeah.
is a
Yeah,
record.
absolutely.
She will break a record if she gets nominated. I can't remember what it was, but because
Really?
like most nominations before a certain age.
25.
Yeah, I think it's
Wow.
she'll
Shall be
have
four.
four nominations before she's 25.
Yeah, right.
But
Deservedly so.
this one
Yeah.
to me is one of the most interesting ones to see what happens with
Yes.
it, because if it is something that not really in the consciousness the way that I'm thinking,
No one's seen it yet either,
Well,
have they?
that's- I
A
don't-
few people have.
Yeah, right.
And I know some people were going, ugh, but I've also seen other people go, it's really good.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing you have is you're either a period piece person or you're not.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's always an interesting one because we think about movies like Atonement, period piece that did really, really well, and then I can't think of what's off my head, but I know there's definitely been period pieces that have just gone straight under the rug.
Look at Current War right now.
Yeah,
like a Current War is just that came out and
then you also had The Favorite
last year. Yep.
where people either really liked
Really
it
loved
or
it
they
or
really didn't.
hated it. Yeah.
So that's all. You've got a lot of factors with this movie.
There might be some. This cast is full of people who've got other movies this year, so there could be some crossover love. You've got Laura Dern in it. You've got Timothée Chalamet. You've got Florence Pugh from Midsommar, and you've got Meryl Streep, which is a given. And then
The fact that
Tracy Letts, who's also got Ford versus Ferrari, Chris Cooper, who's also got A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. So this is a really busy cast.
It's this Little Women is a very interesting one for me.
Yeah.
Let's move on to, you just brought it up, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. This movie opens in 2 weeks in the US.
In the US, yeah.
It opens in 2 weeks and no one is talking about it.
Yeah.
I think the documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, really was like the great prep for this film.
I agree.
Yeah.
I bet no one saw it.
I think it's taken out a lot of the wind of this movie.
I think so too, actually. I think it's a bit of a detriment.
Was the movie greenlit after the documentary or before it?
It was before it.
Okay,
and I think that's taken
That's
a
big,
lot. Yeah. And because, look, this cast, and I think also the fact that the story they're telling isn't his story.
No, that's it. It's the
someone
reporter's
else's
story.
It's the
Yeah.
reporter's story
Yeah.
and how it influenced with him. And I think that's kind of maybe pushed people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Is that, we thought it was his story.
We wanted a Tom Hanks centric,
And
Mr. Rogers.
I understand if you get Tom Hanks and you get a story about Fred Rogers, and that's not.
It should be the
focal.
happiest movie in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing with when he played Disney. Like,
it's
Disney
Mr.
wasn't.
Banks,
Disney wasn't the main character of that movie, and
No.
you get Tom Hanks to play Walt Disney. You think
look what happened.
I mean, so we'll see what happens there.
I mean, I'm still personally excited for
so
the
am
movie.
I'm really looking forward to this. I think
I spoke to our PR person from we all know Karen, and she saw it a few months ago, and she said it was incredible. She was crying. But then part of me is like also. I think it's another audience movie.
Yeah.
I don't think critically, if no one's really talking about it at the moment, but this is going to be the one that comes out like Christmas time for Australia, or it'll be like still in Christmas time in the US. Families will go watch it, and everyone's going to talk about how much they love.
It's a Thanksgiving film.
So they talk about how much they love it. So it's another one that's audience centric and a little quieter. I think the only thing they've got going for it is what's her name? Marielle Heller?
Marielle Heller.
Can you forgive me was fantastic.
I love
So
that.
good.
So understated at the
So
awards.
good.
So understated, and I just have a feeling that it might happen again this year.
Well, the thing is, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, it's been said that it's making a lot of people cry, and also, even though Mr. Rogers, who, for our audience, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is based on Mr. Rogers, who was a children's show's host.
In the US, because Australia never got it.
Yeah, even though he is mocked for being so sunny and bright, people are saying that this movie is making them feel good, and it's what it's the type of movie this world needs, full of cynics. And could the movie, in a way, get some Best Picture votes because it just makes people feel good?
Well, my problem is the documentary should have did the same thing.
Yeah,
and
the
got
documentary
no
is
love.
really-
the documentary was so good.
Agreed.
And when it didn't get a nomination, everyone in the whole world was like,
I was super
What?
shocked because last year was probably one of the first years where I actually actively tried to seek out some documentaries
Well, I think
to watch.
I think we missed one of them. We'd seen all of them except one.
And those nominations deservedly so. I loved Free Solo, loved Minding the Gap.
Free Solo was
incredible.
so
I was
good.
so white knuckled that movie. But Won't You Be My Neighbor, not nominated, is easily one of the biggest snubs of last year. With that and Toni Collette for Hereditary, the two biggest snubs.
Can I tell you a funny story about Won't You Be My Neighbor? So I was watching it on a plane to Toronto last year, and the woman sitting next to me, a Canadian woman, saw me watching it on my screen, and she said to me, I really liked Mr. Rogers' show, even though he was a Republican.
But see, he was a Republican back in the times where it was okay to be either a Democrat or
Where
a Republican.
Didn't make you a Nazi. I did not just say that. I did not.
I'm gonna have fun editing this. Okay.
Oh, we're recording at the moment. So I've said a lot of things. I called Taika Waititi a black Jew, guys.
That's gonna be my opening clip when I edit this.
All right, so I think with A Beautiful Day, it is going to come down to how well does it do when it opens.
Yeah. I
If
think
it
so
opens in the
too.
state, if it doesn't open well, could we actually see a year where Tom Hanks doesn't get nominated for an entire decade?
Well, the thing is, this is his...
Yeah.
My stomach dropped for a second. That's so, yeah.
He
jeez.
hasn't been nominated since 2000.
Yeah, wow.
It will have been nearly 2 decades. The guy who has, and it's not like he hasn't given good performances. There have been years he should have been nominated for Captain Phillips.
Like,
Yeah.
that should
end
have
scene
been.
That was a
Oh.
competitive year.
Yeah, it
But the
was.
thing is, I've watched the trailer. He sounds nor looks like Mr. Rogers.
Really? I
think he does.
I thought he did a lot.
I think he's got the voice down, but he looks like Tom
he's
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. That's. I mean, it is hard to not see Tom Hanks
There's
when you
an
watch.
inability to disassociate because I think a lot of people now see Tom Hanks almost as the Mr. Rogers
Yeah.
of.
I don't know, but I just feel like when you've got Renee Zellweger disappearing into Judy Garland, I see Tom Hanks just looking like Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
with
we'll see.
white
We'll
hair.
see in the movie though. That's the thing. Like, it's kind of one of those ones where he does have a supporting role. It's not a lead.
That's the
it's
thing. It's his first supporting, his first run for supporting.
Yeah, so it will be interesting.
It's-
And I think
yeah.
the fact that it's a weaker year.
We were saying earlier though how minimal the supporting acting
Yeah.
category is at the moment. So
I
So he
think
might get in there.
I think
For picture?
Nah, probably
don't know
not.
about picture.
I'm gonna say probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Okay, so some other more outside chances. We've got The Farewell.
That's in my top 5.
Farewell. Ford v Ferrari.
Yep.
And so what do you think about their chances?
I think Ford v Ferrari probably has a better chance than The Farewell. Just in the fact that, as shitty as it is to say, Ford v Ferrari is just in a classic, from what I'm hearing, a classic American story.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean?
Well, and
It's-
you've got the star power.
and the star power of it, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, we get to finally see it tomorrow. I'm very excited. But people who I've spoken to who have seen it are like, it is exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's not a big, they say the final race scene's fantastic, but it is that powerhouse of
Yeah.
Bale and Damon beforehand that
Cool.
elevate the film. And James Mangold as a director is
yeah.
incredible. I mean, in his later years, like Walk the Line and on. But I think over The Farewell, it probably has a better chance.
Yeah.
Farewell, I agree, brilliant movie. Very emotional connection to be had by a lot of people. It's very accessible. And it's a great, I think it opens up Chinese culture in a fantastic way to an audience that doesn't know. I didn't know much about Chinese culture at all, and I found myself really relating to aspects of it.
Yeah.
Which I think is what a movie should do.
Yeah.
I just don't, it's been critically really renowned. I don't think there's enough momentum behind it at the
That's
moment.
the thing for
Yeah.
me. It came out in June
Yeah.
in the US.
And it was A24 as well,
Yeah.
correct?
And it was
So what are they pushing? Like,
And The Farewell, it was a Sundance release, right?
Yeah.
So it feels like this year's Big Sick.
Little bit,
possibly.
which that one kind of broke my heart
I
that
know
it
it
didn't
did.
get any
I know it
nominations
did.
that
Yeah.
year.
That's a
but
great movie.
I
That's a
watched it.
great movie.
I watched
Haven't
it for
seen
the first time and then immediately watched it, like put it
again,
back
yeah.
on again.
It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
But with The Farewell, because I could talk about The Big Sick for like 6 hours, so we're not gonna do that. But with The Farewell, I think that the only way that it ends up with a Best Picture nomination is if that people are so divided on other things,
Yeah.
ballot-wise, that it sneaks up
It sneaks
Yeah.
in the
in
ballot.
there, because there are going to be people in the Academy who see it and go, wow,
Yeah.
that's a great movie. And there are going to be other people who either don't see it or see it and are like, meh, maybe
They
not.
put it on in the background and
Right. But
continue on
this
the day.
is the other thing with the Academy rules is, do we think it will get 5% of the number one votes?
But that's
Yeah.
that's what
and
I'm
that's,
thinking.
And that's the thing. It's
Like-
got to get 5%.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
it's one of those dark horses to me, like Parasite,
Yeah.
where it could, if
could.
it hits the right people the right
Yeah.
way.
Is The Farewell contending for foreign film?
No, I don't think so.
I think because
I think it can't.
the
it was
Globes?
an American production.
Yeah, it's
technically.
it's an American film. It's
Okay.
technically and there's a film.
I read about it. I wondered if we were going to talk about this.
Yeah,
A Nigerian film.
Nigerian film.
I don't know the title.
Yeah, we can talk. We can actually talk about it later, but it's a Nigerian film. It's made in Nigeria. However, it's in English.
Yeah.
And it's not. And it's been.
Is that an Academy rule?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and people are blowing up about it. But
I
it's
saw,
in
the
it's
big
in-
one. And of course they threw Ava DuVernay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like rightfully so. She's very outspoken on a lot of important things, especially in film. But I mean, is this a rule? Is it a rule worth changing? Like, should a foreign film
I think
predominantly?
I think it's a rule worth changing because
Especially if it's completely
because
made
if
in
the
another
whole
country.
production is made there, if the cast is from there,
Yeah.
if the crew is from there,
Yeah.
I don't think, to me, language doesn't make something foreign.
Well, do you guys remember way back in
Good point,
2009?
Like-
actually. Yeah.
Do you guys remember?
Because you guys still speak English here.
I barely, but
Barely,
I do.
but you do. It's still classified as
Yeah.
English.
Well, do you guys remember an Australian movie from 2009 called Samson Delilah?
Yeah,
That's-
that was something
Yeah.
we did push. We pushed, and one got nominated. I think only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that movie made the foreign film shortlist, and when it didn't, I got this assumption was because of the English language factor, and because it won the Palme d'Or, no, not the Palme d'Or, the Camera d'Or.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Great movie.
to me, I don't think it's a rule worth changing. The only reason I say that is, do you really want to film like The King's Speech winning Best Foreign Film? Because
Yeah,
it
because
would
it's
have been
technically
tighter.
foreign.
It's an
yeah,
English
it's made
film.
in England.
And that's
yeah.
the and that to me is
see,
the
I don't
problem
have a
with the
problem
rules.
with that though, because it is a foreign film. It's not made in America.
The
To me,
King's
I think,
Speech?
yeah, it's a British film.
Oh,
And that's the problem. And
Like,
that to me
It's
is
not
the
American, yeah.
loophole of the. That
See,
would be the loophole.
I don't think it's a problem though, because then you get to honor more film.
Yeah,
That's
true. Just generally.
yeah.
Like,
It's-
and I mean, I get what you're saying, but I also think that that's kind of garbage that now that film's not going to have a chance to get nominated for anything
Because
it
yeah.
won't get Best Picture.
No.
Yeah.
It won't get.
No, it's
won't
it's
get
not
it,
getting
yeah.
talked about at all. Yeah,
Right.
apart from the fact that it can't. Yeah.
yeah.
can I say something about Ford vs Ferrari?
Yeah.
To me, it feels like this year's The Martian, where
Yes.
it looks like it could be just another genre film, but the talent behind it, like the star-studded cast, not just Damon and Bale, but Tracy Letts, Josh Lucas, and also
I haven't seen much of him in the trailer, but I'm 100% assuming he's the bad guy.
Probably.
it's Josh,
He's probably the Ferrari driver.
Probably, actually, yeah.
it's Josh Lucas. He's always the bad guy.
Yeah.
But and it looks like it's going to be every Best Picture race has a steak eater, and it feels like that's going to be this year's steak eater.
I kind of feel like you're onto something there, where it's just that. It's that mega hit. It's the it's the movie that takes the mega hit spot, like The Martian, like Mad Max, like these movies that are just they're mega hits. They're in there because they're really beloved. Like last year's was Bo Rap. Like
Yes.
Bo Rap got the nomination because it was the mega hit, and not because it was one of the most popular films of the year.
Yeah, absolutely,
And I think that you're right. Ford v Ferrari could possibly have that. I think the biggest problem it's got is it's now coming out in November.
Yeah. Not
I think if
a
it
little
doesn't
bit earlier. it
have
might
that
have, yeah.
time to get the
Yeah.
momentum.
And you're 100% right with the Bo Rap thing as well, because it's one of those things where there is so much buzz coming out before the movie came out. Everyone was talking about how good Rami Malek was.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about how much of a feel-good movie it was, whereas we're getting the exact same talk now with Ford v Ferrari.
I just realized I'm thinking, what was a sports film that was critically acclaimed but got little to no nominations?
Can we
And
please not talk
the
about
first-
Rush?
Well,
Don't
not-
make me cry on this podcast.
Yeah, well,
What a
the one
movie.
that actually came to mind was Warrior, in a way, even
Oh.
though that was
Another one you're stabbing me in the chest.
Dude,
with.
okay. I saw Warrior, right? I had no idea really what it was about. Like, I just knew it was a UFC movie. I'm a big UFC fan. And I went with one of my best mates. We just finished our last school exam, and we walked into that movie, and we both walked out in tears.
bawled
Oh
my eyes.
my God. And we were just like, it's almost like a big sick. We were like, should we just go watch this again? It's
Should
like,
we
I don't know
just-
how much I can take in one day.
That okay.
I love
yeah.
that movie.
We are not allowed to talk about Warrior because we will
Sorry.
literally go
It's
on
on our next
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, that's
movies that make you cry.
yeah.
Yes. oh my
We can
God.
all cry together.
All right. So they're the pretty much the real strong contenders that we can really talk about. Now,
Yes.
just go around the table. Is there anything else, other big movies that you're kind of shocked at, that you think we should talk about, that you think could possibly get in there?
I think we didn't really touch on it a lot. I think we should definitely talk about Bombshell.
Oh,
'Cause
I
we
did-
didn't
yeah,
really
I missed,
talk
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I missed Bombshell.
That's a tough one because I think not many people have seen it. Like I would like to believe it's going to be a shoe into because trailer's fantastic. Good director behind it, not the
Yeah.
best, but good director. But it's Charlize, Nicole, and Margot that are selling this for me.
Oh,
That
yeah.
100%.
And
Yeah.
it's the makeup team from Dark is Sour.
Yeah,
and
so-
that I need to know how they made Charlize look like Megan Kelly.
It was so... I watched that trailer and I was just like... Because she's the last one to get in the lift at the start. She's the last one
That's
to get in
right,
the lift.
yeah.
And when she
And
get
you're
in,
like,
I was like,
what? And-
that's Charlotte. Whoa. She looks so much
Yeah.
like her. It's not even funny.
And the other thing as well, apart from movie acts, it's culturally relevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
culturally relevant at the moment. And I think definitely in a post Me Too era, it's going to be the type of film that is obviously, it's not just going to be unabashedly being like, Me Too's bad. Me Too's bad. We get it. We understand. But I'm excited to see a movie that is going to deep dive into the uncovered, like The Report, like Official Secrets.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for those sort of investigative movies, which is another reason I'm super keen
Yeah.
for Bombshell. Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting because this movie, if it's as good as everyone's hoping that it is, it'll really give this director that we say, oh, he's good. It'll
Yeah.
really give him that
I mean,
platform of
This was the next film
he's great.
I was going to bring up in this talk.
Yeah.
We just saw that with Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
And the Joker. So could we
We'll get to
get...
that.
Yes, yeah, no, I know. But that's
I-
the same thing with Jay Roach, yeah.
Yeah, like with Joe, like to me, this is his Big Short. Like
Yeah.
The Big Short is the one that everyone goes to. Adam McKay, known for comedy, suddenly does The Big Short, which is still a comedy to a degree, but is hugely culturally relevant. I think this will be this year's Big Short.
Yeah.
In
But
there.
I'm also just super excited that we're getting Nicole, Margot, and
That is
Charlize.
that is a trifecta.
I know,
Power.
I
That is
To me,
insane.
and
actresses.
to me, the fact that everyone after that that who has seen it is talking, no, it's Margot's movie. Like Margot
Yeah, that's right.
steals
Yeah,
this
okay.
movie. I think there is a chance she could actually win it this year.
Do you think even if it gets nominated for Best Picture, they don't want to give a vote to Liv Gao for playing Roger Ailes? Because it's such a hot button issue. Hot button
but
issue.
I think the fact that I highly doubt the film is going to portray him in a positive light. I think it's going to very much portray, and the Academy have shown that they're fine giving nominations to people who were despicable,
Yeah.
as long as the movie shows them in a
As
despicable light. And that's where I think, look, again, supporting actor this year is just a really... It's
a bit bare. It's a bit of a desert at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, whereas in supporting actress, there are so many roles there where you're just like, there is so many people
good.
here who could win. It's great. It's fantastic. Same with actress. I mean, the irony is actor and actress and supporting actor this year are the two probably weakest categories.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is definitely...
And not
gonna
for
be
a lack of trying.
No,
There's
yeah.
just been not that many great
yeah.
male performances that I can really get overly excited about, as opposed to the actresses in Hollywood who are, most of them, like you said before, have double Oscar potential features coming out this year. So they're working their asses off to, and
and this
proof's
is
in the
what we
pudding.
get,
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much wraps up like the main,
The big contenders,
ones
yeah.
at
Yeah,
the
for
moment,
sure.
at least, as
Yeah.
far as
What-
because a lot of these people haven't seen yet and
Yeah.
we still don't really know.
sort of front runners.
So let us talk about the one that you just mentioned. Okay.
Joker.
I'm just gonna.
Okay. So with Joker, I think the momentum has dropped.
Stopped.
Right off.
I would agree. I would agree.
A month ago, Joker's getting nominated.
Yeah.
The momentum's dropped completely off. And to me, I thoroughly enjoy Joker. I
Yes.
think it is a very, very good movie, but I think the conversation around Joker has killed off.
I think it's died down too. I think there's still a little bit of, there's some flies buzzing around Joaquin.
Yeah.
I
And
don't think-
Joaquin's the one that
The
I
one that I think, but I agree. I think Best Picture, it's one of those ones you could it's a filler.
Yeah.
It's
I
gonna
don't feel like the heat surrounding Joaquin has intense since it came out. I feel like the buzz around him was more before the film came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
that's true
I
as
think
well.
after Toronto, everyone was like, "That's it. This is
This is
your-
the shoe-in,
This
yeah.
is the shoe in."
I guess that's a reason that a competition
yeah.
can die out.
But, sorry.
I think that Todd Phillips, before this movie came out, had everything going for him to get a nomination. And then once the bad press started and he reacted poorly and didn't handle it to his advantage,
No,
he shot himself straight in the face.
Yeah.
Like he had the perfect setup to
Which
be
doesn't
like,
surprise me. He seems like that sort of guy. Yeah.
We're still not fully convinced he really directed this movie, to be honest with you. But
No, I get that.
But he had the perfect opportunity to be like, to just say something where, oh, the media is against me, but this is like why this is my passion, and this is why
that's all he
but
had
instead,
to do.
Instead, he was like,
It was that he attacked.
he was like, oh, this
went
is why I don't do comedy and everything's
He went
SJW
straight
and everything.
into a defensive
like,
mode. That was
he
not.
just killed it for
But Taylor,
himself,
sorry? I was like, Green Book had bad press too.
but not like this.
Yeah,
Not like
the
this.
thing. But the other thing is, Green Book could afford bad press because of the type of movie it is.
Yeah, but they
This
also...
movie can't afford bad press.
No, but there is like leaked emails of like producers on Green Book criticizing journalists for criticizing it. That's bad press.
But it's
the
not the
type
same.
of movie,
The
Green
actual
Book-
film itself
the
is
type
super
of movie
different.
is because Green Book, for all of its faults, it's a feel-good film. You walk
Yes.
out feeling like you. The whole point
Yeah.
is you're walking out feeling good. The Academy are known for
whether
loving
whether
that type
you're
of
feeling
movie.
good for the wrong reasons,
Yeah,
you're
but-
still feeling
You're
good
still
about
feeling
the
good,
movie.
yeah.
Whereas in
Green Book was a fine movie.
was
And that's the
fine.
thing, yeah,
It was
like to
fine.
me, Green Book. I don't hate Green Book. I don't think Green Book is a bad movie. I think it is a well-made.
I think it was like it's regardless of a true story situation or
Yeah.
not. It was still it's a good story. It's nice
story. It's not Best Picture, and that to me, and that's the problem I have with Green Book is
Yes.
that it
Yes.
was not a Best Picture film. It shouldn't have even been in this conversation. It should
No,
have just
no.
been. So, to me, with Green Book, that's the argument. Is Green Book was a film that was always going to be nominated for Best Picture, just because of the type of film it is, just because of who's in the film, the story of the film. Joker is a comic book movie.
Yeah. Do you want to know what else I think has sort of hurt it? It's $955 million worldwide box office. It's the most profitable comic book movie ever made. And once we start getting into those sorts of territories with it's super financially successful, everyone goes, oh, so it's just another big movie.
Yeah.
It's, okay, we don't really have to talk about it anymore.
It doesn't have the underdog factor anymore.
It doesn't. No. And that's what I think that's 100% right. That is 100% correct in the sense of we could have had, a smaller box office taking. Everyone's like, more people need to see the Joker. It's like, no, everyone saw it.
Well,
and
and I think the other problem is it hasn't been nominated yet. Green Book didn't get the really bad press
until it had already
after
been
it had already been
nominated.
nominated
Yeah.
and the momentum was already
Yeah.
with it, where that wasn't stopping. It
and
wasn't
I think
going
more
to stop.
people are talking about Joker than the Green Book. I think because there's a bit more. Both obviously have cultural significance, but I mean,
Joker won the Golden Lion at Venice. The last two winners were The Shape of Water and Roma.
oh no.
I know, but but here's the thing: Venice, the Golden Lion was a death curse until Shape of Water.
That
Shape
is
of
true.
Water. Oh, yeah, Shape
no
of Water,
film
yeah.
before Shape of Water had one that had won Venice had one Best
Right.
Picture.
Didn't Brokeback Mountain win the Golden
I don't
Lion?
think it did,
I don't think
but
it
it didn't
did.
win Best Picture.
It didn't win Best Picture.
But yeah,
though,
you are right. It's mostly foreign films that win the
Yeah.
Golden Lion.
I just don't see it happening. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
shot itself in the foot with too
I think
many.
that's fair.
I feel
For
like
Best Picture, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For Best
Yeah.
Picture,
I
at
think
least.
Joaquin is still, if
I think
anything's
he's in the
going to do,
conversation.
Still a
Joaquin
chat
is
about
still
him.
in the chat.
there's been a
And
lot
I-
of... Sorry.
No, it's okay. And I think probably cinematography. If
Yes.
it's going to get
I was gonna
anything,
say, yeah.
probably.
There'll
yeah.
be some technicals in
Yeah.
there as well. But,
Yeah.
Okay, let's just move on to Richard. Is there any other films that you really want to talk about that you think could possibly be in the conversation?
I've got the list right here.
Here we go.
What about another Netflix movie, The Two Popes?
I'm not sure about Best Picture, but I am pretty sure there's going to be conversation around actors.
It looks like a
Performance-wise.
stage play.
I
Yeah.
think that's its thing. It's performance-wise, people are going to talk about it and go, look, Price and Hopkins, I think, are probably getting nominated, especially if they do push Hopkins for supporting instead of lead. However, I don't know about Picture?
Well, the screenplay by Anthony Mccarthy, who did Darkest Hour and Bohemian Rhapsody and Every Theory of Everything, his screenplay has been getting a lot of praise. That it's surprisingly funny. And also its director, Fernando Meirelles, who did City of God and Constant Gardener. He's a previous nominee.
Yeah.
Those movies are good. Yeah.
I think the other possible thing that could hurt it is Netflix only have a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
They've got two. Right now they've got two front runners.
Yeah.
Like in the conversation, they've got two films that they're going to be spending a lot of their money on, which is Marriage Story and Irishman.
And I think the fact that Two Popes is at least getting us as that limited cinema run, I think if Richard, is got his facts on there with the screenplay and stuff, I think that's probably maybe what they're more pushing for than anything.
Yeah, they'll probably like actor and screenplay. I think they're going to be their big things. So the one that I want to talk about, that I talked about it last week, but again, I have a real feeling. I think Endgame could get a nomination. I think because look, history shows us that since the Oscars, only one time the highest grossing film of all time hasn't been nominated for Best Picture, and that was Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Because that year, the same team, Universal and Spielberg, the director and the studio, had another film out called Schindler's List.
Yeah, which
Why didn't the Russo brothers make a drama this year as well?
they produced 21 Bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm. That's.
Oh, we're not talking about that for an Oscar race?
No,
Sorry?
no, I don't think so. As good as it actually looked at Comic-Con, no, that movie. I've heard. Man, that movie's a mess.
It's been
apparently.
pushed back twice.
Oh,
Can't wait to watch it.
I really do think Endgame has a shot. I think the fact that it is the highest grossing film of all time. History says, look, it could get nominated. I'd understand if it doesn't. Because again, there is the pushback against comic book movies.
Did you also, you may have brought it up last week, or I may have read it, I'm not sure, but also the fact that when the Academy have to choose movies, are they going to be required to watch the 21 movies that came out beforehand? They're not going to be like, oh, I don't get what's going on.
Yeah.
There's sort of
there is that as well. Like, will they know them? I mean, most of the Academy members are in these movies at the moment.
I don't think Scorsese will vote for it. I just have a funny feeling.
He might.
He might.
Just
Coppola,
be like,
he's on the fence.
He might put it in just as look. It's not my number one, but I'm not allowed to vote for Irishman, so I'll.
But I feel like in the case of people are going to say, well, Black Panther got in, but I think Black Panther had a series of special circumstances that pushed it into Best Picture, and
I agree there, where because Black Panther got in doesn't
guarantee.
Guarantee.
It opens a gate, but not like the floodgates. I think Black Panther getting nominated definitely sparked the conversation of these films can be taken seriously and arguably should be taken seriously because they're good. They're damn good movies at the end of the day. So
I mean, I'm always open to the conversation if someone doesn't think they're good movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's more. You can't.
Scorsese.
You can't. To me, you can't
call him out. Get him on the podcast.
All right, Scorsese.
Listen, you son of a bitch. No. I loved your movie, but god damn it.
I think the minute that you start saying that they don't explore humanity and people can't emotionally connect to them,
it's
like that nobody does.
Yeah,
that's where I'm like,
I didn't cry at the end of the Endgame for no reason.
No.
So
I didn't do that just for fun.
But even if Endgame does get nominated for Best Picture, I think we can agree it's not going to get director, screenplay, and acting.
No.
Which I think we're going to see a lot more of now due to the Best Picture expansion and also the push for genre films.
Yeah, I have a feeling that if it gets nominated at all, that will be it. Like it will be a Lord of the Rings moment where we're not giving you the award, but here you go. You can have the nomination. We understand
that
because of what you did. Either that, here's the other thing. If they announce, for whatever reason, if they announce next week Kevin Feige's getting an honorary Oscar, I will take Endgame straight off because that ain't happening anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I've just got a gut feel. A gut feel that Endgame has a chance. It has because history shows that it's happened.
Yes.
And I mean, look, I'd love it to. It is still my favorite film of the year. I think Endgame just... It's to me, it's my favorite film. It's not. I don't think it's the best film of the year. But it is absolutely my favorite because I will never have that experience in a theater again in a long time.
I think Endgame is now my number 3 film, but it's still one of my favorite. Like,
God, it's in the conversation. It's top 10 for me, 100%.
Because it just that experience in a theater, you are never going to get that anytime soon. Like it's just. It was, such an out-of-body experience.
But you know what's funny about that? I was saying the same thing when Force Awakens came out. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I will never have this experience again. And then 4 years later, I'm like, oh my God, what happens next?
But Disney are doing it all.
Bless them. They're going places.
All right, so some real quick ones that I just want to mention that heartbreak me because I don't think they're going to get nominated at all. Films like Us. Us, I think... I don't see any chance of
I'm on the
being
fence with Us
nominated.
anyway. I don't know if I liked it or not.
I think that, I don't know. I think there are a lot of people that Us didn't hit with, but I think arguably it's such a well-made movie. The acting, Lupita is the one that breaks my heart because she's probably not
so good.
going to get a nomination, but she's so good in that movie.
In a lesser year, I think she does, but... actress this year is so
Did you see she showed up in the Us maze at
I
Horror Nights and started
that.
scaring the crap out of people?
I did see that.
Oh.
She could Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place her way to the SAG Awards.
Possibly.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
That's a possibility.
And also, the Critics' Choice Awards, they do have a category for Best Horror/Science Fiction Film.
I think it'll be in there.
Yeah.
It would need to be in there. Another one, look, I know this is... you might disagree with me on this. I think Rocket Man's got a line through it. Rocket Man. I don't
love.
I really loved Rocket Man. I think it is a good movie that has grown on me more and more. I need to watch it again as well. But the May release date hurt it, and I think the fact that no one saw it really hurt it.
I don't think they expected it to get the reception it did, which was majority positive, but there was still the people there who were like, this is just trying to be Bo Rap again. This is just trying to
walk
be...
the line after Ray.
I just think they May release date for that movie hurt. When Bo Rap did what it did, that movie should have been pushed. It should have been moved to... We should be getting... We should have gotten Rocket Man this weekend.
Yes. November release. Absolutely.
A November release... and it probably would have done the same thing.
I'm still going to use my argument that it could get in there. One, because Elton John is an Academy darling.
He runs the after
parties.
Yeah, so
everyone in that Academy.
And
could be in for a good night if they get nominated.
Could the BAFTAs give it so much love?
I think the BAFTAs will.
BAFTAs, and I'm thinking possibly the Globes.
I think the Globes will be a thing. Yeah, I think the Globes.
So I'm still like on the fence with it. Where if the Globes do well with it and BAFTAs do well with it,
here's going to be the big thing about Globes, because it's got Once Upon a Time going up against it. It's got Dolomite going up against it. Farewell, possibly JoJo, if they decide to put JoJo. If it beats
Bombshell.
I don't know if Bombshell's going for comedy.
Oh, wait, it is going drama.
Yeah. I think Bombshell's going drama. But if it beats those, we will have a very different conversation, because that will be a massive thing.
I'm not even going beats it.
Yeah.
I'm going, I just want nominations at this point.
I think
just what I
it will get
want.
nominated. But if it actually starts getting in that conversation and it possibly wins best musical / comedy, that is a huge thing in its
own right.
Because it will have beaten film. Like it's not like when The Martian did it, where there was nothing in there, and they were just putting that in because we needed a film. Whereas in this year there are, because it's a really Scott movie. Yeah. There is some heavy hitters in comedy this year, so it could be interesting.
I swear to God, if they don't give Taron that acting award at the Globes,
he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant in that movie.
My heart is actually breaking for.
I'm trying to think
who my heart's breaking for in that movie.
Jamie Bell.
Jamie Bell.
Jamie Bell's.
I think he'll get in at Globes. Jamie Bell.
I don't either, and I'm just you guys. I'm just gonna go cry for a minute. I was gonna say I just need a minute.
Yeah, I'm thinking all the actors who have won Best Actor in a Comedy Musical at Globes but did not get the Oscar nomination. They were James Franco, The Disaster Artist, Robert Downey Jr. for Sherlock Holmes, Paul Giamatti in Barney's version, Richard Gere in Chicago. So it can happen, but
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
But at the same time, how are you going to say, yeah, Leo gave the better performance and Taron will give him the Golden Globe?
I don't
Yeah.
think how you can. I don't see how you
Or
can say
Eddie
that
Murphy.
Leo. Yeah,
I don't think he can either.
Yeah, so
I don't think Leo is.
I don't think Leo.
I think
is-
he's fine in that movie.
Yeah, so do I.
And even-
That improvised scene is the best part. Is
Oh,
his
yeah.
best acting,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then I agree.
And then the rest is fine.
the rest, I'm more on Brad Pitt's
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad.
side anyway.
Yeah. All right. Let's. If no one else got any other films that they really want to talk about yet.
Well, it's sight unseen, and you guys are going to laugh, but we have to talk about Richard Jewell.
Yeah. I mean, actually, there's two we still
I
need to
agree.
talk about because Richard Jewell is one that, I mean, it's going to be one or the other. It's either going to be this year's. It's going to be Mule, where it just comes out and no one talks about
Yeah,
it.
when we
or it's
forget.
going to be American Sniper.
Yeah.
It's written by Billy Ray, who, other than writing Captain Phillips, also wrote Gemini Man and Terminator Dark Fate.
Ooh.
All right, so
That's,
we're talking about this year's Mule, guys. Yeah, nah. I mean,
Let's
I mean,
let's not forget Damien Chazelle's first screenplay credit was for The Last Exorcism 2.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes you got to sift through the shit to get to the gold. But no, I also agree. I don't know if there's enough about Richard Jewell out yet to
Yeah.
it's and Clint
But
Eastwood's been so
Eastwood
hit
is the
or
master
miss.
of doing this, though. He always releases and WB always do this to Eastwood movies. They release them right at the last minute.
Yeah.
They don't tell anyone about them,
No.
and then suddenly they're Oscar darlings.
Yeah.
Like it's happened numerous times.
It's a very old school way of doing it.
So look, who knows? I really Richard Jewell is a big question mark.
Well, if we're gonna mention that movie, I'm gonna pull out Pain and Glory.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Pain and Glory.
Can I say one thing about Richard Jewell? There's a popular podcast called The Next Best Picture, and they're predicting Olivia Wilde for supporting actress as sort of a afterglow from Booksmart.
I don't see that. Supporting actress is way too
Way
stacked. Way too stacked.
I'm
If it
predicting
was-
Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you got a better chance at that. But again, supporting actress this year is stacked. It's the most stacked category this
Yeah.
year.
Is it stacked though?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hu- I reckon
there's a
it's huge.
lot of actors
And actress as well.
I'm not entirely buying the Jennifer Lopez.
But she's not even like
I don't
when
think
we're talking stacked.
Yeah,
she's
like
not
Laura.
even.
You got Laura Dern. You've got Margot Robbie. You've got
Some
Annette,
farewell.
you got
You got Farewell. You've got Nicole Kidman. You've got
Annette.
Annette Bening. They're like, and they're pretty much locks. Like at
Some
this
Little
point,
Women.
yeah.
yeah, and then you have the whole Little Women cast. And
Mer-
then,
like,
Yeah,
you got Meryl in there as
They're
well.
actually just
like-
getting nominated together.
yeah,
as
exactly.
one,
Yeah.
one collective.
yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
but-
All right. So Pain and Glory.
yeah. I mean, because it's getting some really good critical reception
Yes.
at a lot of the festivals.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, look, I don't think it's going to get a Best Picture nom, but if we're talking things that could possibly get in there,
Look, yeah,
I'm
it's-
going to throw it into the
No, that's fair.
conversation.
That is a very that is a possible one. I think to me, I think it's a shoe in for foreign. I think it's a shoe in for foreign. I think it's a shoe in for actor at this point.
Yeah, I think it is
I
too.
I think Antonio Banderas is
He
fantastic. in the
could
movie.
Javier Bardem
And-
his
Yeah.
way in.
Well, and if, let's say you are getting the Best Foreign, you are getting an actor.
Yeah.
Let's say somehow it gets like a screenplay.
Yeah.
It could get itself in there.
it could. There is a chance. I
Like
think it's
to me, there are quite a few spots that just we don't know what's gonna
Get pushed
get
through.
in there at
Oscars
this
bring
point.
back all 10 nominees.
I
please.
know, right?
Like,
Christ.
What's
going on?
You know why they stopped doing that?
Because Blindside got nominated for Best Picture, and they went, "Yeah, that ain't happening again."
Yeah, but also voters, there were rumblings that voters cannot think of 10 to
films,
vote, which
yeah.
like,
Which-
then don't be in the Academy.
How can
Yeah.
you not think of 10
10,
films
yeah.
that you want
I
to nominate?
Like, yeah, you just go into movies you like at that point
Yeah,
because
like-
there's a guarantee that someone else is going to feel the same way.
Like,
but we digress.
yeah. Anyway, like,
That's a
because-
whole nother podcast.
Because the 2 years that they did 10 were the 2 weaker years.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. They did 10 because because 2008 is 2007 and 2008 were 2 ridiculous.
And how many did they have for that? That was still 5, yeah.
That was still 5. And because of those years, Dark Knight didn't get nominated. Ratatouille
Yeah.
didn't get nominated. Wall-E didn't get
Yeah,
nominated.
shit, wow.
So they were suddenly like, oh, we have to go to 10. So they went to 10.
It was very
in
drastic,
09.
eh? It's like,
Yeah.
not like 8.
Yeah, they went to 10 in 09 and 2010. We got films like Up, but we also got films like, I think A Serious Man got nominated.
I remember that, yeah.
Which got a screenplay nod.
But like, it's not.
It's a good movie, but it's not the.
yeah.
It's you don't talk about
You
it
know,
in the
you
Coen
got
Brothers
things like-
catalog of.
Yeah, but then you
Oscar-winning
got
movies.
Blindside got nominated. You got like films that were
His Green Book was
I
it?
thought 2010 was a really impressive year.
2010 was okay. Like 2010 was a pretty good year, but and then they moved and they went, okay, we moved to in 2011. I think they went, no, we'll go to 10. It's you have to get 5% of the number one vote, and then however many films get to that, you can have between 5 and 10. It is basically mathematically impossible to get 10 now. Like realistically, it's not going to ever happen again. So it will be interesting this year. I think the fact that we got 9, I think in 2012 or 2013 was a miracle.
Yeah.
Like that was we got 9. Look,
I think we've pretty much touched on
There's
everything at
the
least
hitters.
at this point.
Do
The
we
big
think
hitters.
there's the big one. There is the
Oh
big one.
God!
Uh-oh.
Don't you dare!
I am mentioning
Don't.
it.
I think I know
is
what
this
it
the
is.
one?
This is the one. This is the one. No.
No? Oh.
No, I know.
I don't think that's getting nominated at all. Anyway, but
What were you gonna say?
He said
Star
Star Wars.
Wars.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
No.
This is the big
No.
one.
Don't.
I'm mentioning it.
Bring it up. Go on.
Cats is getting a Best Picture nomination.
James Corden for Best Supporting Actor.
I don't know why. I do not. There is more and more buzz around this movie that's coming more. The
I
more
haven't
It's
heard
Tom
any.
Hooper. It's
haven't heard
it's
any.
100% Tom Hooper.
It's Tom
That's
Hooper.
why.
The Danish girl didn't get a Best Picture nom.
no,
he
but
did
King.
that,
Yeah, I
actually.
know. King's
Yeah.
Speech did. Les Mis did.
It did.
This looks on the scale of Les Mis.
And even Les Mis has its detractors,
Yeah,
so
Les Mis has
that got
huge
nominated.
detractors. I have a feeling Cats.
Do
is
you?
getting
Okay, I have a
nominated for
serious
Best Picture.
question
Yeah.
though. Do you think putting someone who's a no-name in the main role hurts it?
Yes.
Because it's like, because in
However,
the trailer,
yeah.
isn't it introducing?
Yes.
Yes.
And then-
Yeah, she's the.
But
yeah.
the fact that they filled it with supporting
Okay,
roles.
but that's not what
yeah.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about just from a perspective of the main person moving
probably
through the
should have
story.
been named.
Yeah.
Probably should have been someone.
Like,
who was
it's a
named.
great opportunity for her.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm just
Absolutely.
talking-
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Are people going to be talking about her performance in the film, or are they going to be talking about Cats?
I do think it was a stroke of genius to put in Jennifer Hudson.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think because
Yeah.
her singing Memories, she will probably win a second.
Oh,
Oscar
because
for
my
singing
mind
Memories.
in the trailer where it goes back, my mind went straight back to Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
just like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is gonna be
And
another Dreamgirls moment.
If it doesn't get all of the sweep nominations, you'll get Jennifer.
Yeah, I think
I
I think Jennifer is your dark horse at the moment.
Not Taylor,
But the
not
thing is-
Swiftie.
No,
No?
I don't think so. I
Where-
don't think
where
people
they've
have quite
nipping-
forgiven her for what's that?
But she
what's
will
that
be an
movie?
Oscar-
Valentine's
Oh.
Day.
She will be an Oscar
about
nominee
that.
next year,
What
though.
a film.
She will get an Oscar nominee for Song.
Oh yeah,
She'll
they'll
get
definitely
Song.
because
She
they're
will
doing
get
an
Song.
original.
They're doing an
song.
original
they're doing an
song.
original song,
Yeah,
And
so
she
she'll
will get
probably
Song.
get that.
But at the
But-
same time, guys, we have to remember if Andy Serkis could not get a single nomination for his top motion
Here's the thing.
capture performance,
Here's
why
the
can't
sad,
Cats?
because here is the sad part. You can see their face. You couldn't see Andy's face. That is. And
Are they doing motion capture? I thought they were wearing suits for
I
most of
I
it.
think
capture.
it is motion capture. So
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't
and
wait
that's
to
the
see
sad
this
part.
movie. I'm going to get so
Well, here's the
inebriated.
thing: you two can go together.
Yeah. Let's.
I'll go see Cat Stoned.
I think it's going to have to be the way
I'm
to do it.
definitely gonna need to be sufficiently drunk to
I
see
think
this movie.
I would be scared to get stoned for it because I think I might freak out as soon as one comes. On my hat's so big.
All right.
But why are the forks so small?
All right,
Anyway.
that wraps up our best picture talk.
What a way to wrap it up.
Can I ask one more question about Best Picture?
On a high note.
I think we all agree we are not going to have an animated film nominated.
I think
As much as I want
possibly
Toy Story
Toy Story 4.
Toy Story
is
4 is the
only
only
one.
one.
It'll be, yeah.
But I
Toy
don't
Story
think-
3 was nominated, but
Yeah.
if they want to fill the 10.
But so as we're wrapping this up, do we have any locks other than Marriage Story that we're willing to lock
All
in?
four of us.
Between
No
the
one
four?
wants the
I
Irishman.
say
I'm
The
not
Irishman.
game. I'm
yeah.
not game on Irishman
I'm
yet.
not.
Okay.
I am.
No.
I'm not game on it just yet.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see what happens after we see it. But
Yeah.
I do think that there could be backlash to one, the 3.5 hour length,
Yeah.
and two, it taking the brunt of the Netflix thing.
I think that's the most valid point. I think I agree with you on that one there.
Lord of the Rings won Best Picture.
Yeah, but that was after 3 films, and that was and that was more of a here you go. Like it was
like a collective 3-movie cultural impact. And Oscar.
Also, it was a very different time. They had given Gladiator Best Picture, and I don't think Gladiator would be getting Best Picture if it was released today.
Love that movie,
but very different
Times
time for
have changed.
the times have changed. To me, the only lock right now is Marriage Story.
I agree with Marriage Story.
Marriage Story feels like the spotlight of this year, where it feels like consensually it's the movie that everyone can like, even though I haven't seen it.
I
Critics
think,
and audiences.
yeah, where everyone goes, I know you don't. I know your feelings on Spotlight are interesting, but
That's a good way to phrase that. Thank you.
But I do agree where, the way the discussion's going around this film feels very reminiscent of Spotlight.
I swear to God, if this is another Spotlight and I'm the only person that's like, this is garbage, I'm going to be so sad.
But also the fact that it is very reminiscent of 2015, where you've got a film like Marriage Story, which is the slightly smaller, it's got a really big name cast, and then you've got a film, the bigger film, which was Revenant.
Yeah.
Now The Irishman, where people are going, I do think there is a very good chance that Scorsese gets a second director's nom for Irishman, but I think Marriage Story is going to be the best picture.
It's just got that foot in front.
Yeah, I do think that's so.
So only got one.
This does feel like 2015 in a way.
It does kind of feel, a little bit. Yeah.
Because you got your comedies like The Martian was.
Yeah, that's a comedy. Guys, thank you so much for checking this out. We hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to be talking about Best Director. So make sure you come back and check us out next week.
Very excited for that one.
Best Director is going to be
That's
very,
gonna be a conversation.
very interesting. I'd like to thank all my guests today. Richard, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter under, I forget, but I think it's Richard_Hoolsey. Or you can check out my Instagram page, which is Houlihan on Hollywood.
We'll put all the links in the description.
Yeah.
We will.
We'll put it on the bottom.
Nick, thank you very much for joining us. Where can people find you?
On Instagram at Nick's Flicks Fix, doing the movie reviews on there.
And with Jacob and I, we've just started doing all of our Gold Derby nominations. Yep. So if you want to see who we're kind of picking at the moment, it's going to definitely move around a lot in the next couple of months. But if you want to keep track of that, we'll put our links to our Gold Derby down there as well.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Make sure you also check out our other podcasts that we've been putting up. Our Best of series starts this week, so make sure you check it out. Until next time, guys, my name's Jacob London. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.